KTAB, keeping tab on Abilene and the Big Country. This is News Tab with Bob Bartlett, Diane Dobson, Bill Cheney, and David Bacon. News Tab is the most watched news team in Abilene and the Big Country.
There was a farmer driving down the road, the county road, on a tractor, and observed him in the bar ditch.
Jones County Sheriff Mike Middleton hopes to have more leads tomorrow in a murder investigation. Good evening. Middleton hopes autopsy results expected tomorrow will give investigators some clues.
The body of a man was found in a bar ditch off a county road near Nugent about 11 Sunday morning. The body was found by a farmer passing by on a tractor. Investigators don't believe the body had been in the bar ditch very long based on the decomposition. Middleton says little physical evidence was found at the crime scene.
We've had several calls from people today with missing person, this kind of thing, and so far none have matched. And we're still awaiting the results of the autopsy and just waiting, following up all the leads that are called in.
Middleton described the man as white, 35 to 45 years old, 5 feet 7 inches tall, 150 pounds, with brown hair.
District Court Judge Jess Holloway will decide on whether to move a highly publicized sexual assault trial from Abilene, perhaps as soon as next week. State District Court Administrative Judge Weldon Kirk of Sweetwater made that ruling last week after 104th District Judge Billy John Edwards took himself off the John Henry Mitchell change of venue hearing. Edwards said he could not continue to hear the case because members of his office staff assisted the district attorney's office in calling witnesses in the hearing on June 2nd. Mitchell, who police tagged the South Side rapist, says he can't get a fair trial in Taylor County because of a similar previous conviction. Abilene police are investigating the burglary of Maxwell Municipal Golf Course clubhouse. The burglars smashed a hole through an exterior wall and then into a safe. News Tab's Ron Rasu has details.
A gardener arrived at Maxwell Municipal Golf Course early today and found a hole in the west side of the clubhouse building. Someone had punched a hole through the cinder block wall and through the safe kept inside the clubhouse.
We do have a hole in the safe where they could have reached in, but someone scared them off before they got any money out of the safe.
Pierce says he believes the arriving golf course employee may have frightened the burglars away. The burglars apparently left hurriedly. A cutting torch and some hand tools were found at the scene.
It looked very well planned. It's possible that they were frightened off early in the morning during the process of doing this. That's why they left all their tools behind.
The burglars were able to avoid detection from the burglar alarm system at the clubhouse. The burglars also knew exactly where on the exterior wall to punch a hole through to the safe. The golf course proprietors say the burglars failed to get anything of value. They say most of the cash is deposited at least once per day and sometimes even more frequently. There was, however, one casualty from this morning's break-in.
When I came in, there was still a fish flopping on the floor right there by the safe. They must have got some water out of the creek there to cool down the safe, but there was a fish in there.
The city of Abilene owns the facility. The American Golf Corporation operates the course. The early morning break-in did not interrupt anybody's tea time. This is Ron Rasu, News Tab.
Taylor County Sheriff Jack Deacon pitched his budget request to county commissioners today during a budget workshop. News Tab's Janice Cochran reports that some can be handled with this year's funds, including one very important need.
Commissioners believe they can shuffle this year's funds to allow some temporary measures at the jail to ease overcrowding. After an unfavorable inspection by the state earlier this month, Sheriff Jack Deacon and Jail Administrator Captain Bill Stovall want to add beds to holding tanks in individual cells and renovate this building on jail grounds to house low-risk work crew inmates.
We could create as many as 144 beds in the existing jail to alleviate some of the overcrowding by rotating inmates more often, and we could possibly get most of the inmates off the floor.
That would only get us off the hook with the state until voters have the chance, perhaps early this fall, to approve a new jail facility. And Sheriff Deacon is hoping those plans can be expanded.
I'm hoping that we'll reconsider and look at an 800-bed capacity jail rather than a 664, because I strongly suspect that by the year 2000 or probably sooner, 664 beds could not be enough.
As for these modifications, the state will have to approve, and doing the work, mostly with inmate labor, will cost an estimated $39,000. Deacon says it's not wasted money.
Most of the things we're asking for will be online when the new jail comes. The recreation yard will stay the same. The work crew barracks will probably stay online. So we're not putting this up temporarily just to lose it.
Taylor County Commissioners won't actually be deciding what goes in and what stays out of their budget until later this summer. But in the case of the Sheriff's Department, they're going to have a lot to look at. I'll tell you about some of those requested items tonight on the Update at 10. Janice Cochran, News Tab.
Governor Ann Richards has signed into law a bill to make apartment dwellers a little safer. The Apartment Security Act requires landlords of rental units to install keyless deadbolt locks. The bill follows 2 cases in which single women apartment occupants were broken into and raped by an assailant with a stolen apartment passkey. The governor vetoed a number of bills today, including one that would have kept speeding tickets under 70 miles per hour from being reported to insurance companies.
The United States and Mexico have agreed to revise their extradition treaty to prohibit the abductions of criminal suspects. Secretary of State Warren Christopher says the U.S. will no longer condone such kidnappings as long as the treaty negotiations are underway. That would eliminate a thorn in relations between the U.S. and Mexico. In 1990, bounty hunters crossed into Mexico to grab a suspect wanted in the murder of a U.S. drug agent. Mexico accused the U.S. of violating its sovereignty in that case. The French consulate in Houston was the target of a protest today by members of the pro-life group Rescue America. A handful of picketers put up crosses in front of the building and held up signs protesting the manufacture of RU-486. Rescue America says it's appealing to the French government to stop producing the pill, and they're threatening nationwide boycotts to keep it out of this country. Similar protests were held today in Dallas and in Paris, France, to try to stop the manufacture of the abortion drug.
NASA's newest space shuttle ducked through the clouds in Florida today and raced into orbit. The space shuttle Endeavour is on its way to retrieve an important science satellite. Charles Hadlock has more on Endeavour's mission from the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
Flight crew, close and lock your
NASA's 4th shuttle flight of the year had been delayed.
Tropical Depression Arlene has left parts of southeast Texas deeply saturated this evening. Some areas are flooded. Flash flood warnings are in effect for parts of the region as far north as Montgomery and Liberty counties north of Houston and south to Starr County in far south Texas. Residents in those areas are being told to move to higher ground to escape the high water.
Bill's taking some time off. Sam is here, and I guess Arlene has something to do with the heat and humidity we have today.
A lot of moisture in the air. It's been that way for about a week now. In fact, we have some showers in the southeastern portion of KTAB country and really serious rain in East Texas. We're going to look at the radar and all sorts of good things in just a minute. Stick around. Well, we started off rather cloudy and then some sunshine broke through, and all in all, a good Monday. Let's take a look at our stats. Our high today, 90 to Diane.
All right, thank you, Sam. Ahead on News Tab in sports, David tells us who wins on this first day of Wimbledon action.
I'm Dr. Red Duke. In just a moment, we'll talk about some of the different kinds of arthritis.
And the torch run speeds through Abilene as News Tab continues.
Abilene Regional Medical Center sponsors our Texas Health Report. Arthritis can be crippling and painful, causing a lot of destruction in the body. Dr. Red Duke explains.
Most of us sort of make fun of the Science Center at Houston. I'm Dr. Red Duke.
The U.S. Olympic Festival Torch Run passed through Abilene today. Abilene is just one stop on a 58-city tour that will conclude with the start of competition in San Antonio. News Tab's Ned Austin reports.
The Olympic torch is arguably the most recognized symbol in sports. And today, about 38 Abilene area residents experienced the Olympic spirit it represents firsthand. The torch is on a 41-day, 4,700-mile journey to San Antonio. There, on July 23rd, the cauldron will be lit to signify the start of the U.S. Olympic Festival, designed to showcase the best athletes in the country in non-Olympic years.
These are America's top Olympic athletes competing against each other. And I think any Olympic athlete would tell you that in many cases, the most intense competition they ever face is among their teammates and vying for positions on the team. So you're going to see just some outstanding competition in San Antonio this summer.
Abilene Mayor Gary McCaleb was among those who took part in today's run. It's a run designed not only to promote the upcoming 10-day event in San Antonio, but to bring a little bit of that event to Texans.
The first thing we want to do is give everybody around Texas a chance to carry the torch, a chance to experience the Olympic spirit, to bring this most revered symbol to people. I mean, we realize that not everybody is going to get to San Antonio this summer. We hope that as many people as possibly can will, but for those other people that wouldn't come to us, we're going to come to them.
For us to have this in the state of Texas this year, San Antonio is hosting it, but to involve all the cities in Texas in the sort of the Olympic spirit is an exciting thing.
Runners today ranged in age from John Turner, alias Stubby Baldwin of KEYJ Radio, to 9-year-old Lindsey Perry. The U.S. Olympic Festival is billed as the largest multi-sport event in the world this year. Ned Austin, News Tab.
Nice to see that in Abilene. Glad they came through. Glad you're back.
Well, I wish I could say the mid-90s and a lot of sunshine.
Tonight on the Update at 10, Treasury Secretary Lloyd Bentsen is challenging Republicans to come up with a better budget plan. And President Clinton gets some questions about the man reported to be his half-brother.
Plus, we'll have all the news that hasn't happened yet. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at 10. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for watching News Tab at 6. Once again recognized by the Associated Press as one of the best newscasts in Texas for Division 3.
This is CBS.
Coming up on the News Tab update, the man who may be the president's brother heads for the talk show circuit.
Jones County investigators are looking for clues in the murder of a man over the weekend. The Taylor County Sheriff says his department needs more money. County commissioners heard about that today. Police say burglars at an Abilene golf course knew what they were doing.
We'll have the latest on Space Hab and the Endeavour shuttle mission on the News Tab update next.
News Tab is the most watched news team in Abilene and the Big Country. This is the News Tab update with Bob Bartlett, Diane Dodson, Bill Cheney, and David Bacon.
And what I don't want to see is drop back into that recession.
Treasury Secretary Lloyd Bentsen is making dire predictions about the economy if the president's budget plan isn't approved. Good evening. President Clinton and Secretary Bentsen are sounding confident that the deficit reduction bill passed by the Senate Finance Committee last week will make it through the full Senate.
Right now, they say there are no alternatives. Bentsen says he doubts a plan being put together by Republicans will be any better than Mr. Clinton's plan. Regina Blakely has more from Washington.
Going to get a budget this week?
Believe it or not, that was a welcome question for President Clinton. After a good week last week, the president's ready to keep the focus on his economic agenda, which hits the Senate floor this week.
Last week in the Senate Finance Committee, there were all kinds of amendments by the Senate Republicans. They were all designed to increase the deficit by moderating tax increases with no offsetting cuts.
And to help keep the media outside of Washington focused on the chosen message, and in the face of an expected Republican challenge, the president did a series of radio interviews. The talk was about taxes, spending cuts, and jobs. The Republican Party is also going to work on keeping the public focused on its message.
It is not enough today for us just to oppose Clinton.
But part of the White House effort is to have deputies out stumping for the plan. Treasury Secretary Lloyd Bentsen took care of the daily press briefing, and other deputies were out selling the package.
And if the Republican Party believes that their long-term success is tied to blocking progress, they have made a serious miscalculation.
But even with the controlled message, there was one diversion.
Brenda's my half-brother, okay?
On Sunday, the Washington Post reported that the president has a half-brother. According to the paper, which produced birth and marriage certificates, Henry Leon Ritzenthaler, a retired California plumber, shares the same father with Mr. Clinton. The president's father, William Blythe, died before he was born. At an afternoon appearance, it was obvious the president wasn't ready to discuss the subject.
Is this gentleman your half-brother, do you know?
What'd you say, Helen?
The same question, basically.
I placed a call today, and I don't think I should, there was nobody home. I don't think I should say anything until after the call takes place.
But what the president is ready to discuss and debate is his budget bill, the one thing that is pivotal to his young administration. Regina Blakely, CBS News, the White House.
99 9/10 sure he's my brother.
Overwhelmed by their newfound status and the interest of almost every talk show and news agency in the country, Leon and Judy Ritzenthaler are taking a flight to New York, their lives completely changed in one day. But they believe for a year that Ritzenthaler had the same father as President Bill Clinton, making the two half-brothers.
Well, I was kind of surprised and kind of, I'm just kind of happy in a way. Knowing I had a brother.
I was excited for him, a little nervous about the whole thing.
And now the nervousness has been replaced by curiosity about medical records and family history. Leon has had 2 heart attacks, and the heart disease runs in the family.
Jones County authorities are hoping to have more leads tomorrow in a weekend murder case. Sheriff Mike Middleton told News Tab he's hoping autopsy results expected tomorrow will give investigators some clues. The body of a man was found in a bar ditch off a county road near Nugent yesterday morning. A farmer passing by on a tractor made the discovery. Investigators don't believe the body had been there long, but there wasn't much evidence to go on.
We've had several calls from people today with missing persons, this kind of thing, and so far none have matched. And we're still awaiting the results of the autopsy and just waiting, following up all the leads that are called in.
The man is white, 35 to 45 years old, 5 feet 7 inches tall, about 150 pounds. He has brown hair. Taylor County Sheriff Jack Deacon has a number of items on his wish list for the coming fiscal year, all presented to county commissioners today. News Tab's Janice Cochran reports that Deacon's ideas for improving the sheriff's department may be pricey and his reasoning unpopular with some employees.
Sheriff Jack Deacon says he's trying to modernize and professionalize the Taylor County Sheriff's Department with several $100,000 in budget requests for the new year.
There's a lot of things that have been neglected in the Taylor County Sheriff's Department for a lot of years, and for whatever reason. And if some of these things had been addressed over a period of time, we would not have been asking for them all at once.
Among the items he's requesting, a $55,000 records management computer and software for greater efficiency, he says, and up to 8 more clerical and secretarial positions to free certified deputies from paperwork. Deacon also wants to spend almost $35,000 on a new training officer and training aides.
One of the big items that we need in the Sheriff's Department as much as anything else is training. That's a large budget item when you start training in excess of 100 officers, and they're woefully undertrained. They're eager, they're ready to work, and they want to do a good job, but they need proper training to be better officers.
Deacon's assessment has left some department veterans with hackles raised. Although none of them would talk with us on camera, they say morale is down in the department because Deacon and the men he has brought in don't respect their years of experience. County commissioners will make final budget decisions during the last week of July, and while today they wouldn't say where the axe might fall, they do emphasize that asking is not getting. Janice Cochran, News Tab.
Abilene police are investigating the burglary of the clubhouse at Abilene's Maxwell Municipal Golf Course. Someone used a cutting torch, sledgehammer, and other tools to punch a hole through an exterior wall and through the safe sitting against the wall. Golf course officials say they believe an employee frightened the burglars away about 4:30 this morning. The burglars apparently left hurriedly. The tools were left at the scene. The burglars left without taking any money or other valuables. Police say they believe the crime was carefully planned because the burglars knew where the safe was and worked to avoid detection by the burglar alarm system. Astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour have powered up and entered the first ever commercial space laboratory. The shuttle lifted off today after a one-day delay. Its mission will also include a spacewalk and the retrieval of an important European space satellite. But tonight, astronaut David Lowe says everything looks good with the lab and it's open for business. Space KTAB is a pressurized module about the size of a walk-in closet. It fits in the shuttle's cargo bay and can be reached by astronauts through a short tunnel. The astronauts will conduct nearly 100 experiments inside Space KTAB. It contains several lab specimens such as baby wasps, brine shrimp, flies, and materials used for contact lenses.
Streams north of Houston are over their banks tonight, and homeowners are doing all they can to protect their property. But for some folks who live along the San Jacinto River and Cypress Creek, Norm Ewell reports it's already too late.
1979, it got within 30 inches of getting in it, and in 89, it got within 36 inches of getting in it. That's the worst ones I can remember.
In the Riverside Crest subdivision, the severity of floods is measured by the stilts on Kelly Woodrum's home. No one knows how bad the flood of '93 will be. The water is still rising. The San Jacinto River has already surrounded several homes and has become an unwelcome house guest in others. Nature has even been disrupted, sending fire ants floating on living rafts looking for the nearest tree or leg, whichever comes first. And the squirrels seem confused.
Pumpkin, get back here, come on.
Fortunately, this dog is at home on boats. As for Pumpkin's human, floods are just an inconvenience. The price he pays for peace and quiet.
I love it down here. I fish all the time. It's quiet, you know. Deer all out here.
Many of his neighbors agree, even when they are moving their belongings to higher ground. Gail Sharp accepts the fact that she will have to move her belongings at least once every 5 years.
Got some space up at a storage home down the road for a month or two, and we'll move upstairs after about 3 weeks when it's not dangerous, electricity-wise and all. It takes about 4 months to get down in the downstairs, which means no refrigerator, no TV, nothing downstairs. You just live out of an ice chest.
Norm Ewell for CBS News.
A Spartan group.
It certainly is.
Goodness.
Just hot and humid for us, though.
You know, I want that guy's perspective. He sees that flooding as a minor inconvenience. He
Oh,
gets
yeah.
to fish every day and, you know, have some peace and quiet, minor inconvenience.
It'll go away, sure.
You know, I lived in Longview for about 7 years, and they have had 12 to 15 inches of rain in that part of East Texas, and I can tell you from experience, it is a mess in the city. There's places where the loop goes around some low places, and it'll be like Catclaw Creek is here. It's going to create some major problems, and the rain's not over yet for East Texas. We'll tell you about it in a minute. Well, we hope you had a great Monday. Let's take a look at our stats. A little bit warmer than we've been having. Our high today, 90, overnight 66.
Thank you, Sam. Ahead on the update, the European community is meeting to find a solution to the civil war in Bosnia.
Researchers in Abilene tonight are looking for answers to Alzheimer's disease. And later on, a report from Hollywood on the hottest movies at the box office. Stay with us.
Activists say they're deeply troubled with the precedent set by today's Supreme Court decision. The ruling allows the United States to turn back Haitian refugees without hearing their asylum claims. Meanwhile, the last group of HIV-infected Haitians who had been held at a Navy base in Cuba have arrived in Miami. Leaders arriving at a conference in Denmark were greeted by Muslim demonstrators. The protesters want the arms embargo on Bosnia lifted. Bosnia's president is meeting with European Community foreign ministers in Copenhagen. They're trying to persuade him to accept a plan that would divide Bosnia into 3 ethnic regions. The warring parties are scheduled to meet in Geneva Wednesday to discuss the plan.
Alzheimer's disease researchers are in Abilene tonight seeking answers on what causes the disease. A research clinic tonight to collect blood samples from patients and family members for research on the genetics of Alzheimer's.
We're enrolling people in our genetic study of Alzheimer's disease. What we're trying to do is find out what the cause of this disease is and whether there's a genetic link. And so we've been down here in Abilene all day visiting the nursing homes and also the support groups and enrolling the patients and their families in our study.
Building cell lines from 2 or 3 generations may help researchers determine the role of heredity in the disease. The hearing impaired in Abilene learned about tonight a lot about their legal rights. West Texas Services for the Deaf informed hearing impaired residents of their rights under the American Disabilities Act. Employers in Abilene are not hiring the impaired in sufficient numbers, according to advocates for the deaf.
Well, I think they're fearful of situations that they're not sure how to handle with the deaf person. How do I communicate with this person? And there are lots of ways that you can communicate with the deaf person and other people who have disabilities. So it just takes education and a little bit of knowledge how to handle a situation.
Dr. Mike Collier of Deaf Advocacy in Austin lectured the hearing impaired. Tomorrow, Collier will speak to lawyers with the West Texas Legal Aid Association about the rights of the deaf.
The U.S. Olympic Festival Torch Run passed speedily through Abilene today. The torch is on a 41-day, 4,700-mile journey to San Antonio. On July 7th, the cauldron will be lit to signify the start of the U.S. Olympic Festival, which showcases the best athletes in non-Olympic years.
These are America's top Olympic athletes competing against each other. And I think any Olympic athlete would tell you that in many cases, the most intense competition they ever face is among their teammates and vying for positions on the team. So you're going to see just some outstanding competition in San Antonio this summer.
Abilene Mayor Gary McCaleb was one of the torch bearers today. Abilene is one of 58 cities the torch passed through.
For 93.
It took Jurassic Park just 9 days to break a box office record. Batman took 10 days to hit the $100 million mark, and that was in 1989. Jurassic Park also set a record for most money made in an opening week and most money made in a second week.
But it's not the only film making money in Hollywood. Here's News Tab's Mike Jarek.
This hero stuff has its limits.
It was Arnold versus the dinosaurs last weekend, and the dinosaurs won easily, according to estimates of the nation's movie box office. Jurassic Park devoured Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero, earning $36 to $38 million for a record-setting 10-day total of $120 million. Last Action Hero debuted at second with a disappointing $15.2 million, while Sylvester Stallone's Cliffhanger hung on at third with $5.5 million. The Tina Turner bio, What's Love Got to Do With It, belted its way to fourth with $3.6 million, while Whoopi and Ted's Made in America finished fifth with an estimated $3.4 million.
Are you looking for something special today?
Yeah, I'd like your head on a stick.
That kid, he's a menace. Hank Ketchum's famous comic strip characters come to life in the new family comedy Dennis the Menace.
That's me!
It's the story of a little boy who unintentionally wreaks havoc on the life of his crotchety old neighbor. 7-year-old Mason Gamble beat out 20,000 youngsters for the coveted role of Dennis.
Okay, first I was called in for one audition, and then I was called in for another, and another, and another, and another. It keeps going on for a while. And then finally they lowered it down to about 10 kids, and then I just got picked out of them.
But the biggest challenge was yet to come. You see, at the time, Gamble couldn't read. Even so, he managed to memorize all his lines before production began.
My parents read them, and then I tried to say them. My parents read them, and then I tried to say them, and I got them after a while.
Perhaps Gamble's biggest fan is Oscar winner Walter Matthau. He plays Dennis's next-door nemesis, Mr. Wilson.
Hey, Mr. Wilson!
Matthau believes Gamble has more to offer than a cherubic face and a cowlick that won't quit.
I don't think he's cute. He's bright, and he's interesting, and I check him off the cute list.
Gamble even received a few words of wisdom from the veteran actor.
Yeah, I said, shut up and say your lines, or I'll smack you one, you little rat.
But Matthau didn't have to worry, because Gamble was indeed speechless when he saw himself up on the big screen.